Daf Yomi, Tractate, Bava Metzia, page 86a, top of the page, with the words Hakim Izkare, shall be called a wise physician. Oh, okay, we're in the story of how Shmuel healed Rav Yehuda Anasi, his eye issue, and Rabbi Yehuda Nasi wanted to make him a rabbi, like Shmuel always said, kind of pushed it away. And Shmuel said that he somehow had found the book of Adam, the first man, and he saw in that book that throughout all the generations, and he saw himself that he would be called a wise physician, but he wouldn't be called rabbi at all. He would never be ordained. That's why he always refrained from being ordained. But he shall not be called rabbi. That's where we are right now, top of 86a. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Rabbi Yehuda, so basically he should be called a wise physician, but he shall not be called a rabbi. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi's convalescence shall be through him. I also saw written there that Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi and Rabbi Natan are the end of the Mishnah. In other words, they're the last of the Tanaim, the redactors of the Mishnah. Rav Ashi and Ravina are the end of instruction. They're the end of the Talmud. In other words, the end of the period of the Maraim, the redaction of the Talmud, which occurred after the period of the Tanaim. And your mnemonic to remember that Rav Ashi and Ravina redacted the Talmud is the verse, until I entered into the sanctuary, Mikdashi, of God, and considered Avina their end. Psalms 73:17. So in Hebrew it's Ad Avo El Mikdashi El Avina Lachrisam. So it's sort of like a play on words, or like a mnemonic that El Mikdashi is like Ashi, and then Avina would be like Ravina. So what they're saying is that these two are alluded to in this verse in Psalms, that they will be the last ones, until I entered into the sanctuary of God and considered their end. Avina considered their end. The sanctuary Mikdashi alludes to Ashi, while the term Avina alludes to Ravina, like we said, which is a contraction of Ravina. The phrase "their end" is interpreted as a reference to the redacting of the Talmud. The Gemara relates another story discussing the greatness of the sages. Rav Kahana said that Rav Chama, the daughter of Chasa, told me that Rabbah Bar Nachmani died due to the fear of a decree of religious persecution. The Gemara explains, his enemies accused him of disloyalty in the king's palace, as they said, there is one man from among the Jews who exempts 12,000 Jewish men from the king's head tax 2 months a year. 1 month, this is the Archei Kala, 1 month during the summer, 1 month during the winter. Since many people would study in Rabbah's study hall during the months of Adar and Elul, he was being blamed for preventing those people from working during those months. And in the commentary of the Art Scroll, I saw that Rabbi Avigdor Miller of blessed memory comments that this could have actually been disgruntled Pumbeditans, because Rabbah used to be, while he was loved by his students, he was not so much loved by the general public of Pumbedita, because he was known to be very sharp and he would criticize people, and so maybe a few disgruntled people wanted to do away with him, and that's his suggestion. At any rate, they sent a messenger of the king after him, after Rabbah, but he was not able to find him because Rabbah bar Nachmani fled and went from Pumbedita to Accra, from Accra to Agma to Shehin, from Shehin to Tzerifa, from Tzerifa to Aina Demayim, and from Aina Demayim back to Pumbedita. Ultimately, he was found in Pumbedita, as the king's messenger arrived by chance at that same inn where Rabbah bar Nachmani was hiding. The inn attendants placed a tray before the messenger and gave him 2 cups to drink. They then removed the tray from before him, and his face was miraculously turned backward. And I think this is a reference to becoming possessed. Some kind of demonic attack of some sort, a mental issue. The attendants said to Rabbah bar Nachmani, "What should we do with him? He is the king's man, and we cannot leave him like this." Rabbah bar Nachmani said to them, "Place a tray before him, and give him 1 cup to drink, and then remove the tray from before him, and then he will be healed." They did this, and he was healed. The messenger said, "I am certain that the man I seek is here, as this unnatural event must have befallen me on his account." He searched for Rabbah bar Nachmani and found out where he was. The messenger said that they should tell Rabbah bar Nachmani, "I will leave this inn and will not disclose your location. Even if they will kill that man," meaning him, "even if they will kill me, I will not disclose your location. But if they will beat him," meaning if they will beat me, "I will disclose your whereabouts, because I cannot bear." I think it was another translation says whip. If they'll whip me, I will disclose your whereabouts because I cannot bear being tortured. Basically, long story short, unfortunately, we don't know what happened with this messenger, but eventually Rabbah bar Nachmani was caught, and he was brought before the king to be judged. And they took him, those who arrested him, I suppose, they took him into a small vestibule, Leidrona, and closed the door before him. Rabbah bar Nachmani prayed for mercy, and the wall crumbled. He fled and went to hide in a swamp. He was sitting on the stump of a palm tree and studying Torah alone. At that moment, the sages in the Heavenly Academy were disagreeing with regard to halakha of leprosy. In general, a leprous spot includes 2 signs of impurity: a bright white spot, a baharis, and a white hair, a sa'ar lavan. The basic halakha is that if the snow white leprous sore, the baharit, preceded the white hair, then the afflicted person is ritually impure. But if the white hair preceded the baharit, he is pure. The heavenly debate concerned a case of uncertainty as to which came first, the spot or the hair. So in a case of uncertainty, and now it says that the Holy One, blessed be He, says that the individual is pure. So let's think about that for a second. I mean, Holy One, blessed be He. So God knows everything. So there's no such thing as uncertainty for God. But I suppose this is talking about in a case of uncertainty for us, like we don't know on earth, it's uncertain. And so according to the story, God actually had the opinion. So God could have, let's say God has complete knowledge, and and it could be totally impure, and God is saying it's pure. God can make what is unknown to be pure. But every other member of the heavenly court, Heavenly Academy, says he is impure. And they said, who can arbitrate in this dispute? They agree that Rabbah bar Nachmani should arbitrate, as Rabbah bar Nachmani once said, "I am preeminent in the halachot of leprosy, and I am preeminent in the halachot of ritual impurity imparted by tenets." They sent a messenger from heaven, meaning the angel of death, after him to take his soul up to the heavenly academy, but the angel of death was unable to approach Rabbah bar Nachmani, as his mouth did not cease from his Torah study. In the meantime, a wind blew and howled between the branches. Rabbah bar Nachmani thought that the noise was due to an infantry battalion about to capture him. he said, "Let that man," meaning me, "die and not be given over to the hands of the government." The angel of death was therefore able to take his soul. As he was dying, he said in response to the dispute in heaven, "It is pure, it is pure. Tahor, tahor." A divine voice emerged from heaven and said, "Happy are you, Rabba Bar Nachmani, as your body is pure and your soul left you," with the word pure. A note fell from heaven and landed in the academy of Pumbedita. The note read, "Rabba Bar Nachmani was summoned to the heavenly academy." In other words, he has died. Abai and Rava and all the other rabbis went out to tend to his burial. However, they did not know the location of his body. They went to the swamp and saw birds forming a shade and hovering over a certain spot. The rabbi said, "We can conclude from this that he is there." The rabbis lamented for 3 days and 3 nights. A note fell from heaven upon which was written, "Anyone who removes himself from the lamentations shall be ostracized." Accordingly, they lamented him for 7 days. Another note fell from heaven, saying, "Go to your homes in peace." On that day, when Rabba Bar Nachmani died, a hurricane. We'll continue. On that day, I stopped because this actually had to do with another thing that I was reading, and I stopped here, but I realized that this is part of the daf, so I'll continue. That was what the hiccup was. On the day when Rabba Bar Nachmani died, a hurricane lifted an Arab merchant while he was riding his camel. The hurricane carried him from one side of the Papa River and threw him on the other side. He said, "What is this?" Those present said to him, "Rabba Bar Nachmani has died." He said before God, "Master of the universe, the entire world is yours, and Rabba Bar Nachmani is also yours. You are to Rabba, and Rabba is to you. In other words, you're beloved to each other. If so, why are you destroying the world on his account?" And the storm subsided. The Gemara concludes its earlier discussion of obese sages, 84a. Rabbi Shimon ben Chalafza was obese. One day he was particularly hot and went and sat on a mountain boulder to cool himself off. He said to his daughter, "My daughter, fan me with a fan, and as a gift I will give you packages of spikenard." It's a type of incense. In the meantime, a strong wind blew. He said, "How many packages of spikenard do I owe to the overseers of this wind?" The Gemara returns to its discussion of the Mishnah on 83a, which teaches that an employer must provide his laborers with sustenance, all in accordance with the regional custom. The Gemara asks, what is added by the inclusive term all? The Gemara answers, this serves to include a place where it is customary for the laborers to eat bread and drink a quarter log of wine, as if in such a case the employer were to say to them, "Arise early in the morning and I will bring you this sustenance as to not waste work time." They may say to him, it is not your power to compel us to do so." The Mishnah teaches that there was an incident involving Rabbi Yochanan ben Metzia, who said to his son, "Go out and hire laborers for us." His son hired the laborers and stipulated that he would provide sustenance for them. The Gemara asks, after the Mishnah has stated that all practices are in accordance with the regional custom, how can it cite the incident which seems to contradict the previous ruling, as Rabbi Yochanan ben Metzia and his son did not follow the regional custom? The Gemara answers, the Mishnah is incomplete, and this is what it's teaching. All practices are in accordance with the regional custom, but if the employer pledged to provide sustenance for them, they'll continue on 86b.